Greetings. My name is Lee, and you're watching here on Loving Life with Light. So I thought I would copycat my friend Vicky of Crunchy Leaves and Sunsets and do a little bit of a getting to know me video, as I haven't really done anything like that on this channel yet. So I thought I'd introduce the channel briefly and just say that this channel is primarily just my story, backed up by my blog and business, Loving Life with Light. And so on the blog, you'll find a lot more of the more scientific, educational type articles to really support the whole universal perspective, and just basic wellness and self-care, more along the lines of your energy systems, your emotions, and mental awareness to the whole and complete self, as well as the personal self, as well as the outside self. So it's just a little bit about my kind of niche that I'm in for this channel, my life overall, my life theme, and kind of what I present to the world. So as an introductory to all of that, I wanted to have a little bit of a get to know me video. So these are just some basic questions, like survey questions, some of which I kind of took from Vicky as inspiration. Others that I just think are kind of interesting and maybe possibly relevant to knowing who I am, and some typical ways that kind of categorize me in so you can get to know me better. So first question is, where was I born? I was born in Washington State on the west coast of the U.S., in a little town, or yeah, I guess it's a city, called Monroe. And Monroe is probably a small city or large town. And I can say that in my almost 30 years of life, I'm 29, born in 1991, January 23rd. So I'm a 123. That's my number for the light worker crew. I'm a 123. And so, yeah, I grew up. That's where I was born. That's where I grew up mostly. I did live in California for a few years, but I've been living here most of my life. I've traveled, but I'm definitely a Washingtonian for sure. This is my home. This is where I'm called to be for sure. At the moment, where do I live now? I currently live outside of Monroe, up towards the mountains, and a little bit more of a private community. So I won't give away my exact location, but I'm definitely towards the mountains more, a little bit farther out than I've ever lived before from the city, which is both a good and it's just an interesting thing, because Monroe is kind of in between a lot of the big cities, but it's not a big city itself. We're still kind of set up in a way that if you go that direction, you get to mountains. You go that direction, you get to mountains. You go that direction, you go get to mountains. But everywhere in between the mountains, there's a big city. Go that direction, you get to Snohomish. Go to that direction, you get to Seattle. And go that direction, you get to like the deep mountains. So it's kind of I'm very used to that, being able to get to and from within about an hour to kind of anywhere I want to be, whether that be the water, the mountains, the forest, city, town, like wherever. So being a little bit deeper into the mountains just takes a lot farther to get anywhere. But on the other hand, it's a lot safer feeling, especially for what's going on right now in the world. So I'm really appreciate being out in these mountains and being called this direction in my life. Siblings, I have two younger siblings, two younger sisters, one of which is a college graduate and does really, really amazing for herself in this work of psychology and trauma. And my youngest sister is special needs, and I live here with her and my mom at the moment. Won't be forever. It is not a super temporary thing. We've been here for a little bit yet, but it's also been really good and healing for our family to come together. It allowed me and Bowden to kind of get on our feet once again, trying to really figure out the best life for our daughter. And as you can tell from my channel, I've gone through quite a bit being here. This last year and a half. I mean, everything happens for a reason, right? So our next step will hopefully be a more solid step in our grounding of providing a foundation for our daughter and ourselves like we've never really had before. So who is my best friend? I have a couple of best friends, but the one that's really been there through everything that I still talk to on a really regular basis is her name is Megan. She lives in She's one of the friends that I met and got in California when I lived there. Well, most of my sister and my mom and I, once my parents got divorced when I was 10, moved down to California, and I was there for 3 years. However, my mom and my sisters stayed down there until just the last couple of years. So for most of my life, we've been pretty separated. But Megan is one of the friends that I met down in California, and she's definitely seen me go through a lot. We've had some years of our life where we haven't talked as much, but she's definitely been like the one that's been there through pretty much everything. And there are definitely other people as well that make the best friend list for sure. One of which is several of our roommates I would definitely consider my best friends as well. I'm really, really blessed to have a pretty solid friend group as well, a very friendly group setting, some of which I've traveled with the States for long periods of time, and others I've lived with, others I've just known throughout schooling and everything else. Am I a dog person or a cat person? I like, at least when I was growing up, I liked to say that I was a dog person. Now that I'm an adult, I know otherwise, and I'm definitely a cat lady, a crazy cat lady at that. Currently, I don't have a cat, although I have had Miss Kitty most of my life. She's now passed away and gone on. But I have 2 dogs at the moment. So I'm kind of one of those, like both. I'm kind of an animal person all the way around, but not to a frenzied state. I just kind of get along with all life. Who was I likely to hang out with in high school? I kind of fit in everywhere. Kind of like the animal kingdom question. I didn't really fit into just one category. However, most of my friends were kind of in the like outcasts group, if you will. The rebel group is probably the group that I hung out with the most outside of classes and outside of school. However, in classes and while in school, I was definitely a band geek for sure. So that got me into a group where a lot of different kids came together for one cause. So just like having a sports team and stuff. However, the sports teams tend to just band together, where the band geeks tend to just get together for band and then go the separate directions, have different friend groups. So I did have my band friends and that kind of niche. Some of them, I mean, I was friends with all the way through high school, but I like haven't talked to since, right? A lot of my friends from high school I do still talk to in some way, shape, or form. We still get together. The friend group that I grew up with in Monroe is really large. So, for example, at our wedding in 2015, we had over 200, more probably close to 300 people over the course of 3 days in the woods come out to visit us from the friend group. So, and those are just people that did actually make it out to the woods, whether that be for a night or all 3 nights. Actually, we had the location for 6, so yeah, it was awesome. Very social, in other words. Definitely a social creature, but I also like my space, and thus the work from home effort and a lot of the self-care habits, and yeah, so I'm a very social creature. I can pretty much carry a conversation and get along with just about anybody. People are way more quick to dislike me than I am to dislike them, that's for sure. Did I continue my education and go to college? No, I did not. I did not do that. I have no college background whatsoever. However, I did definitely continue my education in a way of being a complete researcher, and I don't even remember what the last fictional book was that I read. However, I read several nonfiction books every couple months. And I've been that way the whole time. Non-fictional books, however. So many of the books that I read are either educational level or above in realms of science and all of that. However, I know that a large part of I have nothing against going to high school or going to college. However, the learning environment just was never really great for me in the big learning group part of things. So being a self-learner, there's definitely some things that I don't have the experience about. Getting the actual experience, the actual practice, and the one-on-one with the teacher is something I do not have. So that's my one big downfall is that whole aspect of experience, hands-on experience, and the verbalness. So I am very learned, but it is in a very alternative way to most. And not to say just an internet bookworm, but a very real studier, especially within my topics. And that's kind of why I'm coming out now that I'm old enough to really have synthesized and integrated a lot of the information I've learned throughout my life about this backing. I feel a bit more comfortable in going into service and representative of all of that research. So kind of a cool thing. But yeah, no, straight up honesty, no, I did not go to college. I did graduate high school, however. So good for me there. What else here? Don't mind me. I am trying, but it's a process. Age, I think I already said, is 29. And as far as, I'm going to jump a little bit ahead in the questions and say that I am cuspy Capricorn Aquarius. So definitely resonate more with the Aquarius energy, for sure. However, if you were to be super detailed and go sidereal on me, like I do for myself, I am actually Capricorn. So, and I am a moon Taurus. So there's that. Very much aligned to the Pleiades. And then rising sign is Scorpio. So favorite books. So some of my favorite books is Molecules of Emotion by Candace Pert, nonfiction. Sophie's World, which is technically a fiction book. However, it is a fictional book to tell the history of philosophy. Sophie's World is amazing. It was actually recommended to me by my sister while she was in college taking a philosophy course. So that's definitely one of my favorites. Dao Li Ching. Yeah. When I was growing up, one of my favorite authors was Jodi Picoult, who is just really great at going in depth in her history and research before she writes a fictional story. So I really appreciated that. However, her stories are very emotionally pulling. So as I developed into my adulthood, I was a little bit less called to the drama side of my emotional stages. So I haven't read any of her books in a really long time. I'm very behind. But she was, if I had to name a non-fictional or a fictional like author that I read a lot of, apart from like the typical Harry Potter craze, which I was definitely a part of. Yeah, there's that. And so, am I taken? Yes, I'm taken. I'm married. I've been with Brandon. We're on our 11th year together. I do call him Bowden, which is technically his last name, but it's just because that's what everybody calls him. And so it's kind of a joke that there's Bowden, and Lee Bowden. It's kind of a silly thing, but yeah, so we've been together. I met him the last couple of months of my year in high school. So right before I graduated, I met Brandon. I've been with him since. And we got married in 2015. So been married for several years. Had an awesome wedding. And we, just as a side note too, like definitely decided to have baby Charlie. So that's it's been a really amazing journey. Dates. I don't remember what's a typical date like for me or for us. Well, over the years, honestly, it has been just to sit outside Denny's for an extra couple minutes if you get my drift, and go and then eat at something like Denny's, like a little diner. That's very typical of us. Because I don't really much care for the whole uppity, typical way of things. I think we're both really just more easygoing than that. But if we have enough money and time to like get away and like go do something nice, one of my favorite places to go of all times is Olive Garden. I'm a sucker for pasta. True story. Signs, I already gave you my signs: Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio. Yeah. Spirit animals. This is a fun one. Raven, owl, dragon. I know those all have wings, and that's not really fair. So I will throw in, if I had to have a bipedal, would be fox. And if I had to pick a water animal, it would probably be, it's a good one. Definitely not mermaid, not siren, not dolphin, not octopus necessarily. Maybe jellyfish. Yeah, probably. Floaty. Yeah. Electrical. Yeah. Probably. If I had to pick a water animal, spirit animal, probably jellyfish. Yeah. Party collective. Yep. So yeah. Sports, music, and movies. I'm not really the biggest sports player in relevance of like being into sports regularly. However, I do definitely enjoy watching football as an adult, and just to like regress a little bit. I've done a ton of hiking and walking and exploring. I've done, and that just not just in my day-to-day life, but I've also gone places to go hiking and have long backpacking trips and stuff with my grandpa all the way through growing up. And in high school, I didn't play on any sports teams, but I was almost always involved in some kind of like core fitness class. And every year of high school, I was always invited to join the volleyball team and declined. In going back even farther, in my elementary school years, I was a total tomboy through my middle school and elementary school years. So I grew up playing a lot of soccer, and I was like there's always that one girl that hangs out, even in elementary school, with like playing tetherball and foursquare. That was me. I was that chick who actually did get picked for sports teams at soccer on recess, and actually did beat guys out of tetherball and things like that. So I'm not necessarily sportsy. However, I do carry my own fine. One of the detriments, I guess, that I have as an adult is I was really known for jumping off of high buildings and stuff at recess, and that escalated into just my teenage years of being just kind of a tough chick who wrestled and stuff a lot with people just for fun. So I messed up my ankle from jumping off things so much. So I've had to kind of slow down my activity level to protect my ankle, because I have had a really weak right ankle from my childhood. So that's getting better, but I do have to like take it easy. And also, side note, I was born with my hip out of place. I was actually born with my right foot above my head. So I have to be careful about my hip and running in long distances and stuff. It doesn't really get to me, but it's just another factor that I have to play into. So that's kind of a little bit about me. I'm realizing I'm running short on time, so I'm gonna shut it off here. And I don't know, that gives you some idea of a little bit about me and what I'm all about. So thanks for being here, and I hope to do maybe about a video a week, maybe or so, about my journey. So thanks for watching, and I hope you're doing well, living love.